All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. And what I want to get into today, is respond to a video, that was done by the beloved elder brother Yashawamba. It was his last various topics video that he did. It was about 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and in the spirit, he made, some beautiful points, dealing with the mindset, that we should be in, as men, okay, of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai in these latter days, and it just made me think, okay, of a concept, okay, of how the men of the Lord, we ought to be tapped in and checked out, okay? We should be in the spirit of being tapped in and checked out, just expounding on some points he was making, okay? Because we in the spirit now where it's getting down to the wire, okay? Things are becoming more intense, okay? The devil, he's making his move, his new world order. All right, Jacob trouble is looming, war talk, war drums are beating. Okay. You have the CBDC, the AI infrastructure, okay, for the C-HIP. All these things are happening, man. And what we're seeing is the Lord is reaching a point, okay, to where he's going to take this thing to the next phase, So we have to take everything that we do to the next phase and be tapped in more than ever, okay? And this is the time, okay, as we have the privilege and the honor to serve Yahweh Shai, we should be tapped in more than ever, okay? We should be tapped in to the ministry and checked out to this world, okay? Because we have awakened, to new life. As you read the book of Colossians chapter 3, verse 1, and I read in NLT, it says, since you have been raised to new life with Hamashiach, and we really have to meditate on these things and really digest what's being said in the spirit and what's required of us in the spirit. We've awakened to a new life. That means new expectations, new hopes, okay? You see, new desires, you see? So we have a whole different outlook because we've been awakened, all right? Well, Yahweh Shai has been awakened in us, okay? And understanding what we got coming and looking at this current situation that we in, if we believe half as we say we do, man, it should be easy to be tapped into this, okay? What's to come, the promises, okay? Joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, man. You see? And righteousness, man. The Lord finna give his men the earth. You see? New bodies, man. Okay? Rulership, power. We getting our power back. This world ain't got shit to offer us but a headache, man. Confusion, chaos, dysfunction. Okay? Overworked, underappreciated. Blame for every goddamn thing. Okay? So it should be easy to tap in to what's coming and be checked out to what is. Okay? Because, matter of fact, let's get that. And we just rolling in the spirit. Let's get this real quick. We'll come back to the Colossians. All right? But you get 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Okay? 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And I started, let's start at 16. It said, for which cause, okay, we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. And we in the time to where we should be investing to the inward man. Okay? Investing into the spirit, man. Okay? Because that's an eternal investment. Okay? And it's to the point now, like I always say, man, like, shit, we know how to, pay bills, and the Lord bless us with our day to day, you know? That should be a layup at this point, okay? But when we want something that we never had, we got to do things that we never done, okay? And we was never, taught or cultivated to pour into the spirit in this world. That's a new concept to us. All right. And as the Lord has given us privilege, health, the resources, the time to do so, that's the best investment we can make, to pour into the spirit. And we pour into our spirit, it makes us more potent to pour into the body, makes us more of an asset, a potent asset to the body. Okay. Because it's about the elect winning as a team, and one thing about the truth, okay, we become nation minded, you see, to where it's bigger than us. Okay, we're part of something far bigger than us, man. You see, and Yahweh Shai was that main example, okay, of how he moved to benefit everybody, okay, to benefit all the believers, okay. So as we, these old bodies, see, these mortal bodies, by default they're in decline, okay. But the spirit within these bodies, we invest into that. Now we do, because we brothers have been tapped in heavy, into health. All right, it's not neglecting, your body. Okay, it's just having the understanding that this body is decaying by default, but the spirit, that's eternal. Okay, the spirit that's within these bodies, these spirits are immortal. Okay, so we have opportunity, to invest into the spirit, and that's something that can be done daily. Okay, it says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, working for us an exceeding, all right, more, it said, work for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Okay, so this affliction that we in is temporal, but the reward is forever. So how can we not be tapped in to that type of payoff? Okay, an eternal payoff, man. And we don't even have the minds, we don't even possess the mental faculties, all right, to conceive, okay, or to comprehend the blessings that the Lord is going to give us, man. Okay, we can't even think of how it's going to be for 1 second in the kingdom. Okay, we have, the concept, we learning what the concept of a kingdom is, rulership, rank, order, different titles and functions of a kingdom. Okay, but the kingdom the Lord is going to give to the elect, man, beginning with the first fruits. Okay, we don't even possess, all right, the ability to comprehend it. Okay, we know in part, we prophesy in part. Okay, but he gave us just enough to believe, to fight for it, and to be tapped in. You see, and to be really tapped in. All right, so going from there, keep reading. It said, while we look at Slacky, it said, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. Okay, it says, for the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Okay, and the spirit, is on, the men, okay, of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, the sincere men from top to bottom, to be more tapped in to the eternal and checked out of the mortal, of the temporal, man. This shit temporal. Okay? These things are temporal, man. You see, every situation that we in is a temporal situation. Okay? The only thing that's eternal is what's promised in the scriptures. You see? So this is not the time, okay, to be, invested, okay, in something that's fleeting away. The fashion of this world passed away. You see? So now, as we have so much, to look forward to, and that we've been awakened to a new life. You know, that's why the scriptures are likened, wisdom is likened unto a woman. Because when a man is into a new woman, he's in. you know, he's obsessed. When a man is really into a woman, okay, how much more is wisdom? You know, so as the Lord has given us, the privilege, the honor, to serve, to understand, to comprehend, to be comforted. Okay, here it is. The Lord has it to where we're comforted by the same news that has people depressed, having people with anxiety, the scripture say the earth languish. Okay, so the same information and news that makes these people, depressed is giving us joy, and that's a privilege, man, because it's all through the spirit and the will and the favor of Yahweh Bashima Shai. So going back to the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 1, it says, since you have been raised to new life with Hamashiach, set your sights on the realities of heaven, man. This is real. You see, this is real, man. You gotta understand, like you gotta really, sit and meditate, man, on the reality of what we're a part of, man. What's coming to the earth, man. Who Yahweh Shai is, man. The Heavenly Father himself, like he don't get no, and we're directly connected to that. Okay, how can we not be tapped in? You see, how can we not be tapped in? And by default, the more tapped in the more tapped in we are until Yahweh Bashima Shai, the less tapped in we are into the world. So, and ultimately, the more tapped in we are with Yahweh Bashima Shai, the more we're checked out to this world. Okay, it's easy to be checked out, man. And then especially as an Israelite man, because this shit is not for us, man. Okay, this is the kingdom of Esau. The 2/3. This shit is not for us, man. This shit is not for us, man. You see, we've gotten the short end of every deal in this society, man. The Israelite working man in the Western society, okay? Because you can be a street nigga and get treated like an emperor, okay? You can be a prison nigga, get treated like a god, okay? A straight degenerate, just a straight nigga walking around with no responsibilities, no care in the world, okay? But as an Israelite working man, especially in the ministry, man, it should be easy to be checked out, man. This shit ain't it. This is not the play. Okay? No, this is not for us. This is not our setup, man. You constantly, gotta suppress yourself, and you see, you just supposed to be, this superhero and for everybody, and you see, everybody, just trying to figure out how you can benefit them in some type of way, man. This ain't the play. You see, when you come through, no appreciation. You see, when things go wrong, even if you don't have nothing to do with it, it's your fault. The hell no, this ain't the situation, man. You gotta tiptoe, around the earth. This ain't it. You see? So as an Israelite man that's in this ministry, okay, it should be easy to check out to this place. This ain't for us, man. This shit is not for us, man. The Lord didn't create us for this age. We of another world. You see? So we're tapped in to the reality that Yahweh Shai is getting ready to bring to the earth, man. Yahweh Shai is going to bring a new reality to the earth. Okay? That's what we're tapped into. You see? So reading on, it says, since you have been raised, all right, to new life with Hamashiach, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Hamashiach sits in the place of honor at the Most High's right hand. Okay? And Yahweh Shai is finna bring the order from the heavens to the earth. Okay? He's finna bring the order from the heavens to the earth, man. Okay? And we should be disgusted with the dysfunction. Okay? With the chaos, with the backwardness, okay, of this society, man, especially amongst our people. You know? We should, hey, checking out should be easy at this point, man. You know? Like that, it's, man, you know? So it's, when you keep reading, it said, think about the things of heaven, not the things on earth. You see, checked out. The scripture promote us to be checked out, man. All this shit is folly, man. It's not important. Okay, this shit don't matter. Okay, it's to the point now we just here. You see, we physically present, but our minds is on what's to come. That's why, you know, prophecy is so exciting, because we know we're closer to a new reality, man. You see? But it's to the point, man, outside the brothers, you know, maybe your immediate family, okay, give or take. You see? But with everything else, man, it's like, you know, the things that everybody else care about, you know, we don't give a shit. Okay? We don't care about most things. You know, that's the spirit that brothers, you know, because we're in a different phase. You see? Because, see, we're attached to the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. So as the Lord is getting more serious about judgment, he's putting us in a more serious mindset, man. You know? Certain things that we was patient with, look, we don't got patience for that shit no more. Okay? Certain things that we used to let, you know, slide, you can't let that shit slide no more. Okay? Because the Lord is in that spirit. You see? The Lord is in that spirit. Okay, I finna tighten down. You know? So if we have the spirit of the Son and the Father in us, we gonna be in the same spirit. You know? And we tapped into that spirit, we gonna be in whatever spirit they in, whatever time they on. Okay? And see, this earth, especially in the West, they're used to the Israelite man just being, you know, passive and, you know, just just sitting there looking. You see? Because this world, you know, that's why I say this is not for us, man. You know, because you're just demonized for having an opinion. Okay? And don't dare try to discipline. You know? Oh, boy. You see? You're a monster. You're a T-Rex. You know? You Godzilla. You see? This ain't for us, man. All right? I'm in the spirit, man. Hey, y'all can have this shit here, man. You know? I'm gonna do, you know, what I gotta do on my end, but shit, all that extra and all that, man, damn that. You know, the benefit of the doubt, all that shit gone. You know, we ain't trying to figure this out and that. We passed that, man. You know, we tapped into the throne, man. I'm tapped into this throne. You know, this forever, man. This little bullshit is not gonna matter. Okay, when the lights go out, you see. All right, so we should be tapped in before the lights go out, man. Okay, before, you know, we have to be pilgrims in the earth, man. We should be tapped in, like Elder Apostle Ariamla always goes into. We gotta go into this time with momentum. Okay, so reading on, and it says, "For you died to this life." You see that? Checked out. You died to this life, man. Dead to a lot of this shit. I'm dead to this shit. I ain't got no comment. I ain't got no emotion. Okay? I don't even want to hear about certain shit. Okay? Judgment go forth. Hey, people get judged every day, B. Okay? We dead, man. We really gotta be dead. You see? Because the Lord is requiring more of us, man. And for order for us to be more available in the spirit, we got to become more dead to this shit. You see? Every brother, you know, within their own portion of faith, within their own office, you know, it looks different from everybody, but everybody is required, all right, to die more to this world and live more for Yahweh Shai, all right, whatever that looks like for each brother, okay? It says, for you died, so like I said, for you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Yahweh Shai in the Most High. Okay, so who we really are, our true rank and office within existence is in Yahweh Shai. You know? Because right now we have to play these characters in this society. Okay? But this is not who we are, man. Alright, these little characters. Okay? You such and such nephew and such son, and you know, you got, your little reputation from high school, and this ain't who we are, man. Okay? And this is just a temporary, okay, setup for us to do what we need to do. All right, to be refined in the spirit, man. You know, to overcome. You see, we in these situations to overcome the flesh. Okay? And what Yahweh shall I say? Let's get there real quick. The book of Matthew, chapter 26. Okay? It's the book of Matthew, chapter 26, and verse 41. Yep. It says, watch and pray. You know, and there's so much happening, man. Like, you know, watching is a full-time job, man. You know, watching is a full-time job with so much happening, man. You know, praying, you know, constantly throwing up prayers, you know, all throughout the day. You see, you don't have to, you know, get on your knees every time, you know, just prayers throughout the day in your head, you know, being thankful. You know, I try to be as thankful as much as possible, man. You know, I try my best not to complain about nothing, you know. Thankful for everything, man. Even the shortcomings, because it's working in our favor. You know, even when things don't go, you know, like you playing, hey, the Lord's still dealing. It's doing something. It's refining us. It's teaching us patience. It's teaching us something that we need going into these times. You know, so we should be thankful for everything, man. Okay, so finish it off. It says, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay, this flesh is weak, man. You know, and if our spirit is not strong enough to, you know, conquer the flesh and dominate the flesh, okay, well, shit, that makes us susceptible, you know, to be impulsive, okay, to be distracted, you know, to be caught up in things that don't matter, okay, to be stuck in an offense, okay, because this flesh is weak, man, you know, ready to fold and give in to every goddamn thing, okay, well, nah, we should be in the spirit, okay, we should be in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, all right, because the spirit is willing. You see, the spirit is fervent to be obedient, fervent to labor, you know, fervent, you know, to love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay? The spirit is willing to do these things, man. The flesh, okay, is weak, it's offended all the time. You know, the flesh keep an attitude, you know, lazy, okay, full of excuses. Nah, man, we in the spirit. Okay? Willing, you know, to do what need to be done. Okay? So going back to the book of Colossians, chapter 3 in the NLT. All right. There's the book of Colossians, chapter 3. And it says, for you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Yahweh Shah Masiyah, you know, and just going back into the point, because we're becoming, in this ministry, we're becoming who we really are, you know, you see, and we ain't in the time, you know, to uh, try to suppress what we're becoming to make people comfortable. Nah, man, we keep becoming who we are, you know. If anybody's offended, that's on them. Okay, keep becoming who we are. Not saying you be wide open, you know, the workplace and people know everything you believe and what you think. No, but just what we're naturally becoming, because our interests change. Okay, our interests change, our desires change, so it's gonna be a natural separation. You know, so by default, and people are gonna be offended, okay, about how we move, because everybody can't see it's only a few good men, okay, they really understand what's fully going on, okay. There's only a few good men that understand this, man, okay, because scripture say no one can learn the song fully except the 144,000, okay. So you got believers that's gonna be delivered, you see, but they still don't understand the assignment, you know, that the governing body, you know, our brothers are, we're part of that number, but they don't understand the responsibility and severity, okay, and what's required, okay, for those first fruits, okay, because we speak about, you know, Lord will, we of that number, okay, but there's a responsibility, there's a sacrifice, you know, those first fruits have a way bigger sacrifice than everyone else, than the rest of the 1/3. There's more required of them, you know. If we don't have the grace, okay, and you know, that the 1/3 has, because we got to be on point. You see, we got to be on point, okay. So going back and finish it off, verse 4 says, and when Yahweh Shai, who is your life, is revealed to the whole world, you will share in his glory, man, and it's gonna be forever. And none of this petty shit that people, you know, are hung up on, and you know, people try to make that, you know, everything, the everything. You see, they try to make the little things that don't matter everything. You know, that the shit that people, you know, try to can get us entangled with, it's not even gonna be mentioned in the kingdom. Okay, and that's how we got to think. Like this shit that folks try to make to be so big and, you know, so dramatic, and oh man, how could you, and all that, man, that shit ain't even gonna be mentioned in the kingdom. You see, and to them it's gonna be like them niggas cold. Like damn, them niggas cold. They'll figure it out on the other side. Okay, they'll figure it out on the other side, man. You see, the Lord gave us a spirit to understand now, so we got to move on it now. Okay, so that's the point. You know, Lord will, you know, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edify. Till next time I say shalom, Kwame Ashala, Abba Soon, shalom.